Hi all, my name is Natalia Sabakina, and I have been working at Xsolla as a payment expert for the last 5 years. Xsolla is the video game commerce company that helps developers and publishers market, sell, connect, and optimize their games globally. One of our flagship products, PayStation, is a tool to organize and automate the complex payment process every company needs to succeed. My focus here has been on creating, developing, and executing payment strategies to help video game companies scale their business to more geographies and more payment channels globally. For most of our partners and the game dev community in general, one of the key challenges is to find new revenue growth opportunities. You would know better than I that with an extensive market growth with an average of 10% and a huge number of independent game companies constantly entering the market, it becomes more and more complicated to stand out and scale. Your game's success depends on many factors. From the story that you are telling with your game, to you understanding the importance of going mobile, having access to cross-platform publishing tools, or managing an extensive payments portfolio. Even with all of that in place, there is a good chance that at some point your game sales start slowing. Stagnation often leads to lack of resources and motivation to scale to new territories, platforms, and distribution channels, following customer demands. There is no easy answer on how to succeed, but what I can do is to show you a few strategies on how to improve your game performance by simply optimizing your reach, checkout, and payment flow. Let's first look into how you can earn more revenue from your existing community. We're talking here about those customers that frequently surf your game storefront and make it all the way to checkout, but never pay. There is quite a significant share of such customers in every games community. The real question here is why are they not making the purchase? Unless you have access to customer flow analysis tools like InspectLed, you will never know for sure. But what you can do is improve the overall user experience at checkout, transparency, and payment security to encourage gamers to pay more often and see if it affects your game revenue sales. Here are some key findings and strategies that worked well for our clients and are very easy to implement. First, most customers leave the checkout immediately if they don't see the payment method they typically use in their day-to-day online purchases. What you can do is offer a wide range of payment methods. For instance, if you're selling your game in India, it won't be enough to only accept credit cards or PayPal, as India has quite a well-developed local payment ecosystem. You have to make sure that you also have a Paytm wallet, UPI, online banks, and a number of other local digital wallets if you want to ensure high customer satisfaction and greater conversion rates. This would work similarly for almost every country out there, whether it's WeChat or Alipay in China, GoPay in Indonesia, Sofort in Germany, Kiwi in Russia, and so on. There are literally hundreds of payment methods out there, each with their own customer base. We also advise you to notify your user community when adding new payment methods or updating the user flow in any way to reduce shopping cart abandonment due to the new payment flow. And one more thing that is important for the overall customer journey. Make sure you encourage your customers to leave feedback on what payment methods are missing or what prevented them from making the purchase. Second, customers may be cautious about online payments if they're new to your community, do not trust your company yet, or if they've had a previous bad experience while shopping online. My advice here would be to be 100% transparent. To build and maintain trust with your community when it comes to payments, show them everything. Spare no detail whether it's payment system fees, taxes, or any other costs applicable to a transaction, available payment currencies, and more. It takes time to build trust and loyalty among your players, but it is always worth it in the end. Also, customers are always cautious about payments that are processed in US dollars or euros if they are used to paying in their local currency, which is understandable. All banks have their own exchange rates, which affect the final purchase amounts. This is especially true for developing economies and their unstable currencies. We recently had a case where one of our enterprise partners increased their conversion in Brazil by 3 times just by enabling the Brazilian real for the same local payment methods that were already available at checkout. Lastly, our data indicates that customers leave the checkout without making a purchase if there is no clear refund policy stated before hitting that pay button. In every country, there are different rules on how to treat refunds. Therefore, the refund policy should cover all major refund-related regulations in all regions where you sell your products. The link to your refund policy should also be added to your checkout so that the customers can access it while they're making their purchase. Use clear refund policies to build consistent user purchase habits. Look at Steam and their simple refund policy. You get a refund if you just didn't like the game. This is their way of showing respect to their community. Along with a clear refund policy, be sure to also offer 24/7 customer support. And be there for those who made their purchases accidentally or became victims of friendly fraud and criminal fraud. Taking your customer side always pays off. Trust me, users can cancel at any step, whether it's when they look through a checkout or confirm the payment at the payment methods page. So, the last quick advice from me regarding your existing community is always track and analyze your transaction data, work on payment errors and cancellations together with your payments provider. Otherwise, it's a lose-lose-lose situation for all of you. Once you have increased revenues from your existing community, you're ready to scale to more regions and reach new audiences. The biggest challenge here is to gain visibility and improve user retention in a new market. To do so, you should first create the e-commerce platform to match the look and feel of your brand, but then also match the preferences of a community in a particular region, including platforms, game genres, monetization models, customer buying habits, localized checkout, and local payment methods. The safer path would be to pick a region that is closest to yours culturally. For India, one of the most obvious choices could be Indonesia. Indonesia is the biggest market in Southeast Asia. With more than $20 billion in e-commerce sales and $1 billion for video game sales in particular, this number is projected to grow by 3% year-over-year by 2025. Indonesia is 4 times larger than Thailand, which holds firm at second place. We can see that Indonesia's gaming market is mostly mobile, but the PC segment is quite relevant as well, together with streaming services that can become the target of your user acquisition campaigns. There are 150 million gamers in Indonesia, so you can imagine the massive potential reach. What you should keep in mind is a diverse offering of Indonesian payment methods. Here is the chart that shows the current payment method split at Xsolla. There are a lot of payment methods with significant market share, especially if we recalculate it in terms of the number of gamers in Indonesia or its overall gaming revenues. The key is the highly developed digital wallets network. If we take 100% of the customers who actually pay for online goods, only 10% do not use at least one digital wallet account. And these people are typically aged 15 to 19. This means that 9 out of 10 customers pay for goods with digital wallets. So, it's no surprise that there are more than 40 digital wallets currently registered and licensed by the Indonesian authorities. Their market share combined is now around 20% of the e-commerce sector, and it is expected to grow another 50% over the next year. There are several reasons why we see this digital wallets boom in Indonesia. So half of the population is unbanked. This might be due to the fact that Indonesia is an archipelago made up of over 17,000 islands. 50% of the population there live in rural areas, making access to financial services and support inconvenient. Most of the digital wallets can be easily topped up with cash. Second thing is that consumers are attracted to digital wallets due to the promotions and cashback. Most of them exclusive to specific digital wallets, so users will actually register multiple accounts. And third is the fact that Indonesia has an advanced QR code payment system that allows users to seamlessly pay with any of their preferred digital wallets. One more trend that is largely accepted by digital wallets in Southeast Asia is the idea of a payment app becoming a super app. A super app is an all-in-one experience that grants access to many different types of services, including, but not limited to, e-commerce, social networking, food delivery, financial services, etc. The super app model has been growing rapidly in many markets such as China, India, and Southeast Asia. One of the best examples of a super app is Indonesia's GoPay or Dana wallet, and you can see its interface on the slide here. India is following the lead by adopting the super app trend and applying it to their growing digital services market with Paytm. Also, PayPal announced a couple of weeks ago that they are becoming a super app. We are certain that this will impact the overall digital wallets market, and more companies will take the same approach. More and more super apps are adding video game offerings to their in-app marketplaces. By adding your games to a number of such marketplaces, you can level up your game's digital distribution. You can gain access to a truly local payment experience by opening up new region-specific payment channels. You will reach more paying users and encourage spontaneous purchases by placing your game in various marketplaces. You would also be organically promoted to an additional 500 million new gamers. Placing your game in various digital app storefronts and gaming marketplaces increases your brand recognition. You can also place your game in paid advertisement spaces, creating an additional marketing touchpoint for gamers and non-gamers alike. As you can see, Indonesia could be a great fit for your game if you approach it strategically. At the same time, we all dream big. While you're creating a game, I'm sure you envision a global reach after launch, say in Europe. So I also wanted to show you a few things you should consider when you start to sell your game to European customers. One challenge you should keep in mind when working on your expansion strategy is that scaling to Europe means scaling to a number of different countries. They might have some similarities in gaming experiences and customer behavior, but they are also different in terms of localizations, payment habits, and country-specific industry trends. Nevertheless, selling well in Europe should be a primary goal for any gaming company out there. Video game sales are projected to reach 23.5 billion this year, with 8.5% annual growth rate, just in Europe. Though the region is traditionally seen as a mature video game market, there is still a lot going on that ensures quite an impressive annual growth. New monetization strategies are coming into the market, like Uplay Plus or a growing number of streaming platforms, like Google Stadia. The mobile sector is also still on the rise, similar to the rest of the world. In order not to bore you with the best strategies of entering each new European country specifically, let's focus on what you have to consider when scaling out there. Don't underestimate the localization for each of the key markets, including Germany, France, one of the Nordics, or any other target out there. Some of these languages may help you with your further expansion, like Spanish in Spain, but also in many countries throughout South and Central America, which could also be on your list. It is also important to localize not just the game itself, but the supporting interfaces, your landing page, storefront, and checkout. For some, it could be a good idea to provide a localized FAQ to make the customer journey smoother and ensure more purchases. When selecting and prioritizing new payment method integrations, focus on online banking first. Most of the European countries out there have their own banking network brands, including Zofort in Germany, Trustly in Sweden, Multibanco in Portugal, Ideal in Netherlands, and more. In fact, the Netherlands stands out among European countries when it comes to the popularity of bank transfers. Accounting for 75% of video game transactions, bank transfers far eclipse all other payment method types like credit cards, digital wallets, prepaid cards, and mobile payments combined. Online banks are that popular due to a number of reasons. First of all, the European economy is going cashless. Most of the population, unlike Indonesia, is banked and owns several credit cards per household. The reason one can choose online banks over credit cards is simple: it's more secure. European payments tradition is all about security. This even resulted in new payments directives, PSD1 and then PSD2, strong customer authentication, and an updated 3D Secure 2.0 protocol. Then, Europe has SEPA. That's a direct debit payment method and the cheapest way to transfer funds across the EU. All you need is your bank account. These all led to another initiative recently launched within the European Union: open banking. This allows companies, including merchants, to connect directly to banks and their open APIs to offer that bank as a method of payment to a gamer during checkout. It is not something that is widely used for e-commerce, mostly due to the fact that the solution is new and the tech is not yet perfect. But this is influencing the payments market and most likely will move more customers to bank transfers. Coming back to security, it's crucial for the European payments market in general, not just online banking. If you want to win your audience, show them their purchases are protected with a strong fraud protection system, customer payment account verification, and the easy management of chargebacks and refunds. Managing chargeback and refund costs are basically another thing to improve your revenue growth, because those costs are often overlooked. Chargebacks and refunds might not be taken seriously, since they occur after your customer has already purchased one of your products or services. In other words, unlike the majority of your resources that go into making a stellar game or getting the word out about it, These costs of doing business happen post-sale and can occur without any warning. First, let's look into what a refund and the chargeback is to avoid any further misunderstandings. A refund is a request made by a customer to a business to cancel the payment and return the amount paid back to the customer. What is a chargeback then? A chargeback is a forced transaction reversal initiated by a bank. In other words, it's the result of a process that involves a customer contacting their bank to request a reversal of funds for a payment they made to purchase one of your products or services. Chargebacks are one way a customer can feel protected, but these can greatly impact your business if you exceed the amount of chargebacks allowed by regulators. Let's look into how exactly chargebacks impact your business. First of all, you may lose products or merchandise. Customers are not obliged to return any products they purchase after filing a chargeback. Additionally, you do not get compensated for other transaction-related costs, like payment system fees. You are hit with fees between $20 to $100 per chargeback as a result of having your bank defend you in a chargeback dispute. When it comes to gaming, this cost is often much bigger than the average purchase amount for your product. You may get slapped with larger fines, up to $10,000 for exceeding monthly chargeback rates, as established by Visa and MasterCard. Moreover, you may lose your ability to defend yourself in disputes, depending on your fraud rate. This all could lead to a reputational loss. Monitoring programs could apply stricter filters on your payments, thereby blocking more legitimate payments than usual, which harms your conversion rate. The worst scenario here would be to have your merchant account prohibited or deleted by Visa and MasterCard, which will make it impossible for you to further monetize your game. Your business may be blacklisted by Visa or MasterCard. This prevents you from accepting credit card payments with these methods for up to 3 years. Sounds crazy, but this is what Visa and MasterCard can do if you do not closely monitor your fraud rates. In order to feel safe about fraud and chargebacks, you need flexible fraud protection to match the specifics of your game, its monetization model, and audience. Fraud protection is one of those things we advise game companies to outsource, as normally they do not have the time or resources to study and monitor all applicable regulations and how they get updated. Also, an in-house team wouldn't be able to provide analytics and fraud logs across the industry. There are plenty of companies that do fraud protection, so I would just name a few things you should consider when selecting an anti-fraud system. The anti-fraud system should have experience in the video game industry. This way, you would get access to industry fraudster databases and cross-game analytics to specifically target those who are involved in online gaming fraud. The more flexible, the better. You need to have the ability to apply only the filters that match your game. For instance, for game keys, we suggest region locks. By activating reg locks, you would prevent resellers from buying multiple copies of your game at a cheaper price and then reselling them at a more expensive price in a different region. Another thing would be to analyze past player behavior to determine if new transactions are legitimate. Ask for this company's average fraud rate, chargeback rate, and acceptance rate. There is always a challenge to effectively block fraudsters by making sure that legitimate customers, especially whales, do not get blocked and remain happy with your product. Delegate dispute management. Once the customer opens a chargeback, the business can fight it and prove that the customer purchase was legitimate. This is not done, of course, for criminal fraud, in which case the customer's credit card was stolen or you had a security breach. The chargeback stands. Though more than half of chargebacks are attributed to customers who were denied a refund, or say that the product was not as described, or say that they never received it even though they obviously have, you can and should dispute such chargeback claims. This is not an easy thing to do. For each transaction, you should gather clear evidence of why the customer's request should be denied. This way, it is possible to win 85% of non-criminal chargeback disputes. The thing I love most about the product we created is how it helps with all of this. PayStation was built by a team of payment experts based on a numerous amount of industry data on customer behavior and player conversion. We support over 700 payment methods in more than 200 geographies, including all possible payment method categories, from credit cards to cash kiosks in Russia, convenience in Japan, installment payments in Brazil, or Kakao Pay in South Korea. Being a merchant of record, we also help with compliance, onboarding, tax management, customer support, so that you can focus on developing your game, and we do the rest. PayStation also has a built-in anti-fraud solution powered by a machine learning mechanism that allows us to have an almost 100% average acceptance rate. Please reach out to our business development team at business@xsola.com if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.